All right. Mitch, can you try talking
Testing one,
closer?
two.
Can you unmute on the space?
Oh, I didn't realize I was muted on space.
You're good.
How about now?
Yep. All right, cool. All right, and then Eric.
Hey, test, test.
Yep. All right. Sweet. We're all set. Everything's live. I just gotta record the threadcast actually. Um, while I get the announcements and everything rolling, do you guys want to give a little market update? I know there's been a lot of movement and then a lot of news from the Fed. I don't know if you've been following that at all, Mitch and Eric.
We're going to zero. Nah, but honestly,
Agree.
I wouldn't be surprised at all that like if we get to 56, 58, I mean, a- anything could actually happen. I really, really hope that we don't get to test 58. Uh, Otherwise, it would be bloody as hell. What about you, Mitch?
Interesting. I don't, I'm gonna quickly try and formulate why that's a thing. I'm going to just quickly glance at the chart. I've been kind of out of the loop this past week, to be honest. 58. Okay, yeah, I see why you're saying that. I did read an article yesterday, whatever. It was like, you know, XYZ crypto trader that called the last bottom or top or whatever, and his, 500,000 Twitter followers, blah, blah, blah. And he was talking about the essentially like the descending type of action we have on the monthly, and how if Bitcoin closes the month, I think it was at like 64, then that like breaks that chain of whatever it was, lower highs or something. I don't know. I didn't even look. I can look right now. Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's funny. You look at the monthly chart, it basically like price wise, we're basically sideways. But yeah, it's like you got all these upper wicks, and it's just like last month was lower than the prior month. And then after that, it's kind of even-ish. But yeah, there's definitely lower highs every month since March. And
Yeah.
then, I mean, right now the monthly candle is looking like a huge reversal candle because you have a ginormous lower wick because the monthly candle low is 49.5 and we're at 62 right now. But the upside is only 65. And so like, as I call it in the charting world, a huge hammer candle. Um, so yeah, I mean, a lot of times, that's good for reversal. It's almost like this U-turn pattern that my day trading mentor used to trade and look at a lot. But usually you see like kind of more downwards action, which there is. I mean, don't get me wrong. Like I have a trend line drawn on the daily that now I'm looking at the monthly, and it's literally running off the monthly lows since March. And basically it taps on it every single time, with this month tapping through it, but then obviously rallying above. So
Yeah.
who knows? That might have been the shakeout. But yeah, I agree with you. I mean, if we go back below, like I'm looking more like 57, probably would be negative. But right now, in theory, the Bulls are hanging on tight here, and staying above 60 is definitely key, in my opinion. So we shall see. Obviously, with the Fed pretty much almost, guaranteed at this point to cut rates in September. Um, should be pro liquidity, but who knows? Stock market's been making new highs and Bitcoin hasn't. So really, at the end of the day, coin flip.
Yeah, pun intended. Yeah, speaking of coin flip, Addicted just dropped something in the Discord general chat, which is actually funny because it's something I've been not only looking into, but I already started doing a little bit of, and that is flipping some Bitcoin into Ethereum. Um, Ethereum's
Oh,
been,
interesting.
yeah, Ethereum's been a major underperformer relative to Bitcoin. Um, and there is a lot of like negative sentiment, you know, around not only just Ethereum, but just the altcoin market in general. You know, just underperforming. You know, Bitcoin obviously made new highs not too long ago. When was that? Back in March. And then, you know, the rest of the alts didn't really follow a whole lot. And the alts have just kind of been bleeding out. So, you know, as with any crypto cycle, you kind of always have Bitcoin leading the charge, but then you kind of see it flow into alts in one form or another. And you know, I forget exactly where we are in the halvening cycle, but we still have a pretty good amount of time in the halvening cycle. So, you know, I don't think it's a horrible idea to rotate into certain alts. So I've been kind of looking at this ETH Bitcoin trade, obviously looking at it in like a Satoshi's point of view, you know, seeing if ETH can outperform a little bit. So we'll see. I was just checking, and one of my orders got filled to flip some Bitcoin into Ethereum, because so Bitcoin's up at 62, Ethereum's down at 25.86, and just a couple of days ago, you know, Bitcoin was under 60 and Ethereum was at the same price. So Ethereum's definitely lagging.
Yep.
So I don't know,
That's
just a trade to keep your eyes on.
nah, it's something that caught my eye a couple months back, because I remember on that not even a couple months back, I mean basically earlier this month, because that last big dip, I did buy some Bitcoin, but actually yeah, it's a dip before that, I guess. I don't know, but I just remember buying Ethereum instead of Bitcoin specifically for that reason.
Yeah, just that it
So
was down more.
yep.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at, I'm pulling up this ETH Bitcoin chart. If you look at it, it looks pretty bad. It makes ETH look like a
Yeah.
shitcoin, that's for sure.
Vitalik is now bull posting. Apparently, some people got to him, and he's now like, he made it like kind of half joke, and he just posted a bull image with like holding a sign that says Ethereum is good, and that's the tweet. Because people were saying like, oh, the founder is not being vocal enough, blah blah blah. So yeah, it was just fun to see, fun to watch. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think Vitalik's been doing something for a lot of years now, where he's been trying to kind of get away from you know, get away from just being the Ethereum guy. You know, he's trying to make a name for himself in other ways too, which I think is
Well, yeah.
it's kind of generally what he's been trying to do.
And technically, when it comes to crypto, the whole point was there's not supposed to be a face, but he is essentially the face to Ethereum.
Right.
You know, like the reality is, if something happened to him, the price of Ethereum would definitely like take a dump, like even if
Right.
it's just for a day or a knee-jerk reaction, even though it's probably moot in a way
Right.
in terms of like, you know, the functionality of Ethereum.
Yeah. I mean, in the long run, I think you know, I think it would be like a short-term dip, but then in the long run, I think people would realize that he's not actually hyper involved in the development of Ethereum. You know, I mean, I do think he's involved, but Ethereum has a much bigger ecosystem around it.
Yeah, and the problem is that when you have so much influence over anything, whether it's a community, a token, a company, whatever, you have to be wary of what you say publicly, because it affects how people perceive the company or whatever you're involved with. And he's been very vocal about his political positions, you know, with the whole COVID stuff, and then the right versus left um, issues that have been going on in the world. So it does affect a lot what he says publicly. So I don't know. I would be more wary of what I say if my opinion would trigger the second biggest cryptocurrency, right? So I don't know.
Yeah, and I mean, I do think I do like to, and I've done this in the past, you know, make the case for founder-led projects. You know, there's obviously trade-offs to both approaches. Like you have the Bitcoin approach with obviously no founder, but then you've got other ecosystems, projects, stocks that are founder led and create a lot of value. So I think it's just kind of like, you know, choose your own adventure type of thing. Like there's value to each approach. I actually always liked that there was a face to Ethereum, because in my opinion, one of the issues with crypto, you know, certain projects that are decentralized is that when you don't have, you know, kind of a singular person making, you know, critical decisions, you almost get stuck in a loop. Like you're always kind of fighting each other instead of, you know, pursuing the mission. So having one person kind of make the final call can actually have some value to it. So you can see that obviously with like, you know, Elon Musk and Tesla, like, you know, him being the last person to make the call means that they can make, you know, rapid progress and they don't have to have a bunch of, you know, infighting.
Yeah, true.
But yeah, I mean,
True.
I think Ethereum is
And
definitely something to keep your eyes on, in my opinion.
yeah, you were mentioning that you are not sure where in the cycle we are at right now. Well, we're in the halving cycle we're at right now. I think we just tapped 120 days. I haven't checked, but I think I read a few days ago that we like it's been 120 days since the halving. So
That
usually
sounds about right.
yeah, the past cycle, I think we broke all-time high 280 days after the halving, and then the previous cycle, I think it was 150, something like that. I can't remember. I might have to double check on that, but like it's no there's no surprise that we really haven't really started the run. And people are actually getting uh more anxious about it, because I tend to think that we have a lot more newbies that people think we have. Um, and you're actually yeah, like you are. I am finding out that right now that people are being more vocal about, oh, it's over, oh, we're never gonna cross all-time high again and all that stuff. And it's just like I don't want to act as if I'm an expert, but that's just newbie talk. So
Yeah,
gotta
no,
be patient.
yeah, the one thing that's never failed in crypto is the halvening cycle. So I mean, I wouldn't count it out. I wouldn't like obviously bet your life on it, but I also wouldn't count it out. Um, yeah, I think we will see what happens, but yeah, ETH Bitcoin spread trade, I think super interesting. I'll start posting more about it. I've already flipped some Bitcoin into ETH, so
Yeah,
we'll
there's an
see what happens.
opportunity.
Yeah.
Like I said, I've paid attention to that downtrend, and I mean, obviously, really Bitcoin dominance has increased, you know, in the past year, and it's like when do you flip the switch? And you know, a piece of me wants to try and make that play where, do an aggressive trade and flip majority of Bitcoin into Ethereum. Um, and then there's the piece of me that's like, well, I'm still just slowly stacking Bitcoin as my war chest because I plan on that being basically my borrowing collateral, in future years when it becomes easier to borrow against Bitcoin and when you can literally probably even do it through TradFi.
Yeah.
Um, so I'm always like, but I want more Bitcoin, but there's a trade opportunity here, but I want more Bitcoin. So everything, I guess, is opportunity cost.
Yeah.
And there's no guarantees you're going to be right. I mean, most likely though, because
It's
Ethereum,
I
yeah, it's
mean,
only going to so much.
yeah, I mean it's only going to bleed out so much in my opinion. So we'll see. But yeah, the last week has been really crazy on INLEO. Obviously you guys know we launched the shorts feed last week, like kind of over the weekend, and then we had a very interesting time with the development of that. Obviously, just the creation of it and then the release of it to production. There's been so many bugs and things to do. It's just it's kind of crazy in terms of development and getting it to work well. But if you guys have used the shorts feed at all, you'll see kind of what we were going for, which is it literally feels and looks like TikTok or YouTube Shorts. And it's directly on INLEO and obviously uses Hive and allows you to earn crypto. And I think there's a couple really special things about it. I think one of the really cool parts of it, and this is the one that I'd like to emphasize, is that it gives us all a whole new layer of interaction. And that layer of interaction, it creates a deeper sense of community. Because you're able to, like, you can only get so far with text, but once you start throwing video, audio, in there, and you're able to do it with such a low, barrier to entry, because, like long form 3Speak videos, like you may have to make a video. It takes you like, I don't know, 10 minutes to record the video. Then you got to edit the video. Then you got to upload the video. You got to write a title and description for the blog post, and then, get it all published. And, that's obviously still a super valuable thing to do. And I'd love to see more now that we also have long form publishing on the INLEO UI. I'd love to see more of that as well. But shorts are just like, take out your phone, hit record, 30 to 60 seconds of recording, hit upload, enter a 3 to 10 word title and description, and then it's posted. It's pretty incredible. So I think it just adds that whole new layer to the platform.
I saw Simple Game had a question in regards to shorts. He said, is Leo Shorts a breakaway community or just a 3Speak network interface? Is INLEO going to run any 3Speak infrastructure at any point?
Yeah, so what's pretty interesting is Shorts is like Shorts. The way I look at Shorts is very similar to how we did Threads on Hive. So we basically took the infrastructure that 3Speak has built, and then we built our own infrastructure around it. Because the way, like, if you use 3Speak or I don't know if any other apps actually should support Shorts yet, but if you use 3Speak Shorts anywhere but INLEO, it makes a full blog post for your short. So there's no ability to like post 10 shorts a day if you wanted to, since it would obviously do 10 blog posts a day, and on Hive that's like a social stigma. So the way we built it is similar to how we did Threads on Hive, where we started using the comment layer, but then built our own infrastructure for Threads. We did the same thing with 3Speak. So we're using 3Speak's backend and the way that they have shorts, but then we layered on our own infrastructure that allows you guys to publish as many shorts per day as you want with no limitations. So that was kind of like the innovation of us. But no, we're not a breakaway community. And, I have spoken to the 3Speak team about working on encoder nodes and whatnot. Right now, it wouldn't really have much of an impact for us to run any of that stuff. But I could see that in the future, us running various forms of infrastructure to kind of support them, especially now. I mean, if you go to 3Speak, it's actually kind of funny. If you go to the homepage of 3Speak, like 80% of the videos you see come from Leo Shorts. So if you go there, you'll see we're just kind of dominating the feed now. And that's with everything kind of being in soft launch. I mean, I haven't even posted the blog post yet announcing Shorts, just because I've wanted it to be, I wanted the feed to be more bulletproof. I definitely wanted the uploading to be bulletproof first. And then obviously now that we've got the feed, we've been making some tweaks and improvements. It was obviously really hard to get it even to work in the first place. But now that it's working, the next thing for us to do is work on the performance of it. So you'll notice, when you first load the Shorts feed, it can be kind of slow. It's just because it's loading so much data in one location. So, I'm working with the devs right now to try to figure out what we can do to essentially speed it up, at the first load for users. So we'll see what we can figure out for that. I saw Ahmad Manga said, if someone posts a 3Speak short, will it appear on Leo Shorts? No, it won't. So kind of similar to how, like, if you post, it's just because we have our own layer of infrastructure. So if it doesn't originate as a Leo short, it's not really like a short on other platforms. You know, while it's using the same infrastructure, similar to how comments are on, like you can technically look at threads on other UIs because you can just look at them as comments. But you know, it's different because on INLEO, you know, the way that shorts work is it's basically using a container account to publish your short, and then we display it from the container account. So obviously, if you use another UI, you can't upload to our containers. So that's why, you know, it's obviously kind of like a one-way compatible thing. But yeah, it's yeah, shorts, Vic Van said shorts have taken over engagement. It's all over the feed. Yeah, there's been a lot of shorts. I saw, what did Taskmaster say? There's 1,500. Is that what he said? I lost it. 1,590 shorts as of this morning, and he wants us to get to 2,000 by the end of the month. So that gives us 4 days to do 400 shorts. So 100 shorts a day. I mean, I definitely think we'll be over 2,000 by the end of the month. Task said people need to be dedicated to Leo. Yeah, I mean, you know, people have always kind of, well, not everybody, but you know, some certain groups have always given us you know, flack for being so heavy on, you know, promoting the use of our UI. Those people don't understand that, you know, the entire way that INLEO is monetized is that you use the UI. So, you know, you use the UI and, you know, hopefully you become premium if you use it for a long period of time. So that's one of the ways that Leo as a token ecosystem monetizes itself. And then with the ad platform, you know, obviously you know, the original one was rolled back and then the new one's on the way. But with the ad platform, you know, the entire point is we need page views on the INLEO interface in order to monetize the engagement, you know, on the site. So, you know, it's I actually think one of the most, like one of the pivotal moments of INLEO was the rebrand from Leo Finance to INLEO, where we also then changed the way the token distribution worked, where, you know, you would use the tags before, so you could actually use other UIs and earn Leo. But now, you know, ever since that change, you have to use the INLEO UI in order to earn Leo, and tags are irrelevant. So it's just use the UI to earn the token. And because you're using the UI, you're a monetizable user for the Leo token ecosystem. So then it creates a much more positive feedback loop for the token. So it's you know, it's a really important kind of feedback loop system that we've built, that kind of enforces using the UI itself. And Task said Hive doesn't sell. People need to realize that it's the applications that interest people. Nobody cares about AWS. They like Netflix. Yeah, I mean, I've always been a proponent of that. It's the second layer apps. Like the average person, like if you walk down the street and ask people if they know what AWS is, I would say probably 8 out of 10 of them aren't going to know what it is. And if you walk down the street and ask them, you know, if they know what Netflix is, I'm going to say that 10 out of 10 of them are going to know what Netflix is. So, you know, people care about how the apps apply to their life. They don't care about the architecture behind those apps. You know, the people that care about the architecture are the developers, the entrepreneurs, you know, the businesses that can leverage those tools. So I've always been a proponent of turning Hive into a development layer, you know, which is what I think it was always intended to be, and encouraging people to build businesses and develop here, as opposed to like encouraging users to sign up to Hive. I've always been, you know, a proponent of that. So my goal has always been, and you can see it, you know, don't even look at what I say, just look at the actions. Like we try to get people to sign up to INLEO, create an INLEO account, you know, utilize INLEO, and on the back end, make it almost non-obvious to them that they're actually using Hive. They have a Hive account. You know, even if they do a light account, they immediately have a Hive account and they're storing data on the Hive blockchain, retrieving data on the Hive blockchain, earning Hive, earning HBD, earning Leo. But on the front-facing, you know, UI, you know, the mentions of Hive are very low, to minimize the confusion for users, because in my opinion, Hive is a very confusing thing. It's meant to be the architecture that runs the platform, not the platform itself. Simple Game said, no one else has Web3 Twitter. People are awestruck when they see this, and now Shorts is mind blowing. Great work. Yeah, thanks. Yeah, it's, whenever I show people and, people ask what the app is, I just say, imagine Twitter, but on a blockchain where you earn crypto for everything you do. And then they see that it's actually functional, because most people in the crypto space, like a lot of projects, they have non-functional products. So, they have an idea, they've raised some money, and they're attempting to build that idea. One thing I've always kind of prided ourselves on is that we have ideas, big ideas like Project Blank or Shorts or whatever. And we've actually built those things and they're usable by users. Like that's, it sounds kind of stupid, but it's like that's like a rare thing in the crypto space to actually have a usable live product with an actual user base. So I've always been proud of that for our ecosystem. The real key for us now is scaling, scaling the user base, scaling the activity and engagement on site, getting the ads platform live and then monetizing all of it. So I put out a tweet last week and I said, kind of like the 4-step plan of INLEO is, scale, continue to obviously refine the product, scale the user base, monetize the user base. I guess if you dwindle it down to 3 key steps, that's what we're all about. And I put out that master plan document as well, which kind of outlined the next 5 years of INLEO. And it's literally, build and refine the product, scale the user base, monetize the user base. And obviously when by monetize the user base, we mean generate revenue through premium, through ads, only Leos, Leo decks, and then take that revenue, 100% of it, and buy the token, so that it feeds the ecosystem.
Yeah, and I was this question it goes more into the rewards kind of things, side of things. And Kyle, what's your opinion on? Yeah, there's one thing that people are like, some people in public rooms, they are saying that whenever there's any onboarding, people get, I don't know, $15-$20, whatever, from the welcoming curation guilds. And then after a few posts, they stop getting that kind of rewards, and then they get $1-$2 if they get something. And obviously they kind of like they feel like they were devious publicity or stuff like that, where you are pulled into something with the promise of big something, and then you stop getting it. Do you think that if maybe we switched on INLEO to giving users, I don't know, $1-$2 per post instead of, I don't know, 10, 15, whatever, do you think that shift would change how people perceive Hive as a whole, and then INLEO as a whole, as in they will not depend, or they will not think the rewards are what makes them stay, but it's just the cherry on top? Like, what's your stance on this? Because it's something that I read in the Developers Mattermost a couple of days ago, and I do think that we do a better job at that. But maybe you want to tell the users the Lions, how do you feel about this?
How do I feel about just rewards for new users in general and how they perceive them?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I mean, I've always had an interesting perspective on rewards in general. I've always looked at the second layer as being where rewards should originate and be focused on. Earning Hive is great and everything, but it's like I said, I think that was the original era of obviously the legacy chain and now Hive, is that you had this early distribution and you were able to distribute, because you need a way to distribute the token early on to a wide group of users who can then kind of take the ball and run with it. Bitcoin obviously has had that with mining, and if you actually look at Bitcoin, that would actually be a good lens to look at all of this through. In the original, early days of Bitcoin, anybody could mine Bitcoin. It didn't matter, how much money or capital you had. It was very low barrier to entry, and that's kind of how it spread very widely. Like you had people in their mom's basement mining Bitcoin, with a basic computer, just a spare laptop. As time went on, you know, it was programmed into Bitcoin that it got harder and harder to mine it, harder and harder to earn it. And now, you know, the average person cannot mine Bitcoin. Like, you need a lot of capital, you need specialized mining equipment, you know, you need a lot of resources in terms of energy and space to put that equipment. So now, you know, the average person can't mine Bitcoin. And, you know, I don't look at that as a bad thing. I just look at that as the growth of the ecosystem. But the average person can still utilize Bitcoin. So, you know, the average person can still use Bitcoin as a savings account, you know, kind of like gold, or they can use it as a payment system with the Lightning Network. And, you know, entrepreneurs and businesses can build things like the Lightning Network or on the Lightning Network. And, you know, I think that that's a natural progression of a decentralized ecosystem, is that you have the early days where anybody can earn it. You cast a wide net, you know, you build out the user base and the holders. But then from there, you know, you essentially, it gets harder and harder to earn it. You know, Hive hasn't really done that. It hasn't really gotten harder and harder to earn Hive, in my opinion. You know, obviously it's gotten slightly harder, you know, just by the nature of the inflation getting reduced every year. But it's still relatively, like, you can still kind of earn as much Hive as you could have 5 years ago. So, you know, I've been of the opinion that we should kind of slowly dwindle that away, allow the layer twos to reward the users, and perhaps reward the layer twos with Hive. And you know, basically make a way for layer twos to mine Hive by doing things that are positive for the ecosystem. You know, you obviously have that with like witnesses, you know, DHF kind of. I mean, you're obviously earning HBD, and it's a little bit different, but you know, if we were to do a little thought experiment where we created a way for projects to mine Hive, and then reward their user base with their own token, I think that things would be a lot better on Hive, in my opinion. And, you know, I obviously have been talking about this for a while. You know, it's kind of like a 50-50, like there's two very distinct aisles on this in terms of thinking. And you know, I think the only way that you're going to really change people's minds is by showing that it actually works. And that's been, you know, kind of what I've been trying to do with Leo for a very long time, is to show that the layer two rewards are not only enough, but even better than the layer one rewards, and focus on, you know, onboarding users and bringing them in and giving them those layer two rewards, and then allow the layer one to just be kind of faded into the background, like what Taskmaster was saying, where it's, you know, it's the architecture that runs everything, like AWS. But that being said, it's not user facing. Like, users, in my opinion, users shouldn't even have Hive. Like, you know, it doesn't even make sense for them to own any Hive. The projects like us should own large pools of Hive and then delegate out resource credits so that our users can interact. And then we should be focused on mining, earning, and buying Hive, staking it so that we can have a growing resource credit pool for our users. So actually, in the last 2 weeks, the team has built out a new resource credit delegation system for the onboarding of accounts. So when you sign up to INLEO, you actually get a resource credit delegation, and we've built a dynamic RC system. So it's actually a dynamic pool where the more you interact on INLEO, the bigger your resource credit allocation gets from our pool of credits. So in the INLEO project in total has about 5 million Hive worth of resource credits. So that, I mean, that's obviously a pretty significant amount, but I've run the numbers, and, you know, if we start scaling our user base to a significant number, like, you know, 10,000, 20,000 users, we're going to start running out of resource credits. So we're going to need to buy Hive, earn Hive, stake Hive. Like, we're going to need to get Hive however we can get it, stake it, and then grow our resource credit pool if we want our user base to continue to scale without any limitations. So, you know, I think if you imagine that you had 10 projects even that were thinking in this way and operating in this way and actually growing their own user base on top of Hive, and then needing more resource credits, the Hive price would look a lot different than it does today. I think it would be a lot higher. I think there'd be a lot more demand for Hive. I just don't see the demand for Hive from a user perspective. And that's been my opinion for a long time.
That's actually a pretty good idea. I had never thought about it, how you could actually get rid of all the inflation, all the high inflation for users, and just keep giving Hive, or you, like moving the allocation of Hive from users to projects. And if you are bringing in attention, if you are bringing in users, if you're bringing in traffic, block size, etc., then like you get a bigger slice of the pie, uh, which then in turn you can use to to delegate, or to build your treasury, or there's so many things that you can actually do with that. But wow, I had never thought about it like that. So this is a pretty good approach. I mean, I don't know if
Yeah.
it, if Wales would go for it, but I mean,
Well, it's hard, it's the people that could ultimately make the decision are the ones that are earning a lot of Hive right now. So it's working against itself. You're and this is, by the way, coming from someone that I have, obviously more than 7 figures worth of Hive. So it's like this is coming from someone where I'm eating my own dog food. Like I would immediately vote for this change to be made. But that being said, as a person that would be considered a Hive whale, I am basically saying I don't want my rewards allocation, as a user, as a whale. I would rather my rewards get allocated to projects that are building on Hive, instead of end users who are earning minimal. They're earning like micro earnings of Hive, like 10 Hive, 100 Hive, 50 Hive here and there, being paid out to thousands of users. And I just look at that as not, that's not, they're not creating enough value for the platform to be earning that Hive. To be completely honest with you, the feedback loop is not positive. It's just not there. But that being said, I think if we change the allocation so that projects could mine Hive, by being witnesses, by running infrastructure, by onboarding users, I think that would be, you basically need to create a list of the valuable set of actions for projects on the Hive ecosystem, and then figure out, okay, well, now how can we allocate Hive inflation to reward those projects so that they can continue to mine Hive, so that they can continue to stake Hive and then have Hive as resource credits for their end users, and then they can continue to scale their user base. So that's really what I would like to see.
yeah, makes total sense.
You
I
know, you
mean,
look
yeah,
at ETH staking as another example. Like, you've got proof of stake on ETH, and I think it's paying like 2.9% or something right now. So technically anybody can stake. If you have one ETH, you can go to a staking platform like Lido. You can stake your ETH and you can start earning 2.9% on it. You're not earning 2.9% for nothing. Your ETH is being used to secure the network. It's being used in a validator node. So but I think the key difference is on Hive. When you are an end user, let's say you have 100 Hive and you stake it, your Hive isn't really being useful in the ecosystem. It's obviously determining the allocation of content rewards. But it's like I said, in the early days of this blockchain, I think that was good. But the current state of the blockchain is nothing like it used to be. If you go back, 7, 8 years ago, the legacy chain only had Steemit. Like, you had essentially one interface. You had Steemit, and I think you had like the Busy app. I don't think there were any other ones. So you had like literally two apps on the Hive blockchain, and one of them was run by the core blockchain team. There was no layer two. There really wasn't any development on the blockchain other than the core team. It was just all end users creating content. So obviously in that environment, it's a lot different. But the environment we're in now is that you've got all these L2 projects. You've got people like Simple Game. You've got, Yaba Matt with Splinterland. You've got us with INLEO. You've got the 3Speak team. You got Vaultec building VSC. You have all these projects that are building on top of Hive. And that it just looks a lot different than the original days of this ecosystem where it was about blogging. I just think that we need to adapt with the times, and make some changes. But I've been talking about that for a long time, so we'll see what happens. I just think the only way to really prove it is to kind of make INLEO extremely successful as a layer 2 project on Hive, and then show them that the business model can work.
Yeah. Taskmaster has a question. So what are your thoughts on VSC and
Sorry to
what
cut you off, but Morty said someone's clacking on their mic.
That would be the cat. Sorry, urgent duties had to be tended to. Forgot to mute.
You're good.
No more click clacky. That's the cat claws.
Cat pause. What were
Trying
you
to get
saying,
his.
Eric?
Oh yeah, I was just Taskmaster has a question. He was asking, what are your thoughts on VSC and what are some ideas? Oh, some ideas for some things regarding Leo with that network. Well, I know that you are considering uh, running the two side chains side by side, the Hive Engine token and then the VSC token at some point. And then if the response is positive, both from the community and from the technology, then you would consider moving or migrating the token to VSC, right? But I mean, that's probably around like a year from now, maybe not something to think about. So like that would happen on any near future, right? Yeah, I
You're
think.
scared. You scared Cal off. No, I
Yeah.
think I know he said he was waiting on like a tow truck or something. So he's like, I might have to step away at any moment.
Oh, damn. Yeah. Well, that's what I know about the VSC side of things. Like I do know that we are considering the migration to the VSC layer two, which I mean, I don't know if it could be considered layer two, but it's like a side chain, maybe. I don't know. Yeah. And then Vic Van is earning isn't just a thing of writing blog posts or things like that. Providing liquidity tool adds to the earning proportion of the high blockchain. Yeah, I mean, the idea within Leo and obviously the idea with any blockchain is just to add as many use cases as possible for the native token and the tokens of the projects that live in that blockchain, so that people bring in capital to that ecosystem instead of any other. So you're basically competing um, with every single blockchain for users. So yeah,
Yeah, sorry, I had
makes
to
sense.
take a quick phone call. I've got to run in 5 minutes for a little emergency to take care of. But I cut you off in the middle of the VSC question. What was the gist of the question?
Yeah, basically that if we're thinking about moving to VSC at any point, or how do things look in the future for once VSC goes live. And I mentioned that there are like you're thinking about moving to VSC at one point, but it's not the near future. So
Yeah, so my it's been a couple months since I've talked about it, but it's not like super simple for us to just like pick up and move. We would, not only would we have to clone the current state of what we have on Hive Engine, we'd have to do a lot of other infrastructure changes, obviously on the back end of the INLEO app itself. Then you also have all the tokens on, Ethereum, BSC, Polygon, and Arbitrum. So we'd have to also, I think we'd have to basically create new no, I think we'd actually be able to keep those, but we'd have to create new infrastructure on top of Hive in terms of how the Hive wrapping part works. So, there would be a significant amount of infrastructure changes for us to make for that. That being said, my strategy going forward is that I do like and want to support VSC, and I think that in the long run they're going to be a great place to build. So what I think is going to happen is when VSC is ready for us, in terms of all their architecture, we will basically create a clone of the current state of the Leo network, and then clone it onto VSC, and then have them run in parallel and run them in parallel for at least a few months, if not longer, and then essentially just like pick the fastest horse. So if and I kind of assuming that it would be VSC in the long run, but pick whichever one makes the most sense for the long-term, value of the Leo ecosystem by running both systems in parallel. So it would essentially create a second Leo on. So how, just think of it this way, how we have Leo on, these EVM chains, we have wrapped Leo over there. So you're able to wrap your Leo from Hive to those other blockchains, interact over there, and then unwrap it back to Hive when you're done, or vice versa. It would essentially be kind of a similar system onto VSC, but you would also be able to it would actually be more dynamic than the wrap tokens. But it would essentially be the same thing. You would be able to move your Leo from Hive Engine to VSC and vice versa. I think that is essentially how we would approach it. But again, I think it's just too early to tell really anything right now. I think VSC is just kind of, it still needs to get this architecture in place, and I want to see them launch things like liquidity pools and whatnot, and then we would look to do what I just described.
Nice. Yeah. Someone said, "Oh yeah, you scared Cal with that question." Yeah, when you went to pick up the phone call.
Run, Forrest,
Winanda.
run.
Yeah.
But yeah, any other I'm gonna have to jump here, but any other final questions or anything we want to throw in?
Oh yeah. So I just have one final question. So I know that you teased the like the TikTok viewer or the Instagram viewer. Is it that nearly done, or
It's
how is
live.
that looking? Yeah, but um, what's been the feedback from users? Like, are they looking at it as something that it's usable now, or are we still working with
Yeah, I
with
would give it a shot. It's in the menu. If you're on desktop, it says Shorts on the left side. If you're on mobile, then you'll see a video icon in the bottom menu. Yeah, we've spent the last week, like I said, debugging it and fixing it, and it's very complex development, but it is working well now. And like I said earlier, it's the next stage is just going to be performance upgrades. So making it work faster is really where we're going to try to go. Like right now, it's a little bit slow to load on the first load, depending on your internet connection, and that's just because it's loading so much data and it's caching so much information. So I'm going to work with the team, figure out how to speed up the initial load. But other than that, there's really no bugs with it that I've seen. And then we're just going to kind of integrate some new features like I said, as we tweak the performance, we'll add some new things. So, I saw Idiosyncratic recommended that we put the total payouts somewhere on the screen. So we're going to work on adding that and then a couple other things as well. So, but yeah, it's fully usable. It's live in production. So yeah, like Vic Van said, sometimes it's slow and sometimes it's pretty fast. And like I said, it just kind of depends on the caching, but I think we're going to be able to get it to the point where it's just pretty fast all the time. If you guys remember the early days of Shorts, or sorry, of Threads, everything was obviously a lot slower than it is today. Today, things are pretty rapid and basically instant. So, the kind of first step is to develop these, design these things, develop them, release them, debug them, and then do the performance enhancements. So we're kind of we're kind of getting past the debugging stage, and now we're in the performance stage. Like Vic Van said, at the moment there's little or no bugs. Yeah, there really aren't a lot of bugs with it. So yeah, I think it's pretty much 99% bug free right now. Like I haven't really seen any bug reports on it, and it's just a performance thing at this point.
nice.
Sweet. And
I
then
don't
yeah,
see
Self Help
any
for Trolls said, is it
questions.
going to be personalized soon, or is it just going to stay latest? It'll stay latest for now, and then as we roll out more features, we're going to add more feed options. So we'll have like a trending feed, just like we have for Threads. We'll have like a for you trending hot, and then you'll be able to do lists as well. You'll be able to do by tags. So yeah, that's all on the way. Like I said, the next stage is performance, and then we'll work on that stuff. Sweet. Any other Closing thoughts from you guys?
Keep grinding.
Keep grinding. That is so true.
Yeah, not from my side.
Cool.
Keep shorting,
Keep shorting the
but
shorts.
not crypto.
No,
Creating shorts.
make shorts, not short
There you go.
stocks.
Yes. Make shorts.
All right, sweet. Yeah, sorry for the shorter AMA today, but just got some personal things to take care of. I think we will have a chain chatter tomorrow. I'll talk to Eric about it and then get everything scheduled. So we will hopefully see you guys at noon Eastern tomorrow. Thanks, Mitch. Thanks, Eric. Thanks everybody for coming. See you later.
Later.
You guys.